Thanks for tuning in to another NASCAR starting lineup video for this Saturday, the 18th of October, 2025. I'm your host, Greg DePalma, for the Yellowwood 500 from Talladega Super Speedway. This will be going on tomorrow, and it's one of the races that, even though there's football on a Sunday, I will be definitely glued in to watch. So, of course, not just because it's Talladega, but there are only 3 races left before the season ends in 2025. So we have the starting lineup report. And as we said the other day on our Tuesday show, and if you haven't joined us before, we do a Tuesday show a week. And that is when CJ Radun and I from MotorWire.com, we go over just about everything you can think of, the drivers, past history of the track, odds in the beginning of the week, anything related to fantasy. And we answer all of your questions whenever you have them. And Kevin Rogers has his weekly reports posted on Saturday. You can check it out. There's a link in the description of this video. You can see right there. Kevin has his pick for the week. And also CJ, also link in the description. You can check out his DFS report from rotowire.com. And we also had an F1 report. So that link is also in the video. They have another race coming up, and that will actually be in the United States, the USA Grand Prix. But let's talk about, basically what I was getting to is we do the show on Tuesday, and when we did the show on Tuesday, we talked about how this wasn't going to be an eventful Saturday, but there were going to be some things to talk about, and that's because no practice. So no practice, and you don't really learn a lot in qualifying because of the fact that, as we set it up here, with the 6 drivers, not the 10. And that's because if you look at it, next gen, there have been 7 races. And out of the 7, no winners came from the top 6 in next gen. That means those 6 drivers right there, not sure they're going to win on Sunday. To tell you the truth, that's not really a great list anyway, even though CJ's got Josh Berry in his picks. So I'm not sure why, but if you want to find out why, you can check out the show we did. And we always give our picks towards the end of the video too. When we did it, we usually do it. If there's an F1 report, we usually do it just before we start talking F1. Okay. So looking at that list, you do have Austin Cindric. You do have Chase Briscoe. Kyle Busch, you got the news. He's got the new crew chief. That does not happen until next year. I guess the biggest name there, just because of what he's done, has been pretty impressive, and that's win his 3rd pole at Talladega in his last 4 attempts. That's Michael McDowell. Now, how has that paid off for Michael McDowell? Not very well. If you look at it, he was on the pole in both races last year. He led 42 laps and 36 laps. So he had good days, but he ended up crashing in both races. This year, he didn't crash. He started 14th and he led 10 laps. He finished 11th. He does have 3 top 5s in his career, and they've all come, not surprisingly, over his last 12 races. And he's led almost 100 laps in his career at Talladega. Again, most of that all coming over the last several years. Now, one of the things McDowell has going for him is because he's never won at Talladega, and that's important if you believe in specific trends. And this trend says that the last 10 winners at Talladega have all come from 10 different drivers. So obviously that encompasses the 7 next-gen drivers. Meaning, I'm not going to run off the list, meaning if you want to go with that trend, and you think it's going to be 11 straight. And I don't think that's a bad idea because there are some good drivers out there that haven't won in the last 10. If you want to go down that road, that means that you will not be selecting. And this is the order from this year to the 10th driver. Cindric, Stenhouse, Reddick, Blaney, who was the last to win twice. So keep that in mind. Kyle Busch, Chase Elliott, Chastain, Wallace, Keselowski, Hamlin. Okay, so if you want to go with that trend, you can't take any of those drivers. Don't worry about manufacturers. Doesn't mean anything. Okay, wipe that out. Doesn't mean anything. Of course, Fords, yes, they do normally perform better on super speedways, but it doesn't always result in them dominating in wins. And a lot of that is because, as we know, Talladega is a track where luck comes in handy. So there's your top 6. Here's the top 10. There's Blaney and Bell, the 2 playoff drivers, 8 of them left. And I'm also going to go down here. Let's go down to here, 17. And the reason we're going to go to 17 is because that's the average starting position for next gen winners, the last 7 winners. That's the average starting position, 17th. Okay. Now, of course, that means there's some past 17th, and really don't worry about, I wouldn't even worry if we go all the way down here, taking a look at all these drivers here, I would stop here. Okay. I would take any of the top 37 drivers if you like them. And Ricky Stenhouse is interesting because that 37th spot, you would think, oh, no, it's not a good way for Ricky Stenhouse. I liked him as a long shot. Don't worry about it. Ricky Stenhouse's average starting position in next-gen races at Talladega is 31.2. So it's going to even go down further now, but it doesn't matter. In his last 3 races here, he's finished 12th, 1st, and 4th. All right. He was 32nd when he won here as the defending champ last year, leading 19 laps. He's won this race twice. So Ricky Stenhouse is still, matter of fact, if for some reason you end up getting a bump on the odds, and what was Ricky, like 25-1, which was not bad odds for Ricky, 20-1. So if you wind up getting 25, 28-1 on Ricky when he was 20 at your sports book, grab him. Value. Huge word in our industry. Okay, so there's all the drivers. And let's just get into the nitty-gritty as far as whether or not there's anything else that really sticks out. Well, Chevy, Ford, Toyota, they all had decent runs today. Chevy, 2 of the top 3, Ford, 4 of the top 8, and Toyota, 4 of the top 10. So again, nothing to see here as far as manufacturers. Okay, let's take a look now. We'll start. I tell you what, let's start first of all. Let's start with those first top 6. Okay. And we already told you about McDowell. Now, Chase Briscoe, who's 22-1, he was 15th this year, led 20 laps. So that's good. He was 4th in the Daytona 500. And so even though he doesn't have like a great history here before this year, which was a decent run, he's still, because you're getting good odds. And I'd be intrigued to find out if his odds go down now because he's on the front row, which they shouldn't. Trust me, if you wind up losing a lot of value because of this, then I'm sorry, you probably should have taken him before qualifying. But you shouldn't. And he's still, and look, you're still getting somewhere around 20-1. As we said the other day, Chase Briscoe is not a bad idea. It really is not. Kyle Busch, I just don't understand. I mean, we've said this before with Kyle for the past couple of months. It just, I don't know what else there is to say. Austin Cindric, can he win twice in the same season at the same track? Well, that's really asking a lot. But the bonus he has is that he'll be riding a lot with Logano and Blaney, and that will definitely help him. The only thing is his value. He's one of the favorites, and he's really one of the favorites mainly because of that. I just think there's no value in expecting Austin Cindric to sweep Talladega this year. Ryan Preece hasn't shown much. Josh Berry, again, this is one of CJ's picks this week. Okay, moving on. Let's go in the top 17 now, the rest of those. You got Bell and Blaney. Now, remember, Bell, streaky driver, as most drivers are on these types of tracks. In his last 3, he's got an average of 32nd with 2 wrecks. Before that, his previous 3, he was 1st, 2nd, and 2nd. So right now, I mean, is it possible? Will Ryan Blaney start a new streak? Because it did come in 3s, these last 6. maybe, possibly. Or are you just going to stay away from him because he's on a bad streak? Well, CJ didn't. It was his top pick. He's got 3 career wins at Talladega. All right. So, and don't forget, he also won the Daytona 400 this year. He pretty much is at this point the top super speedway driver. He just is. And then you have Christopher Bell. And what was good with Bell before we talked again on Tuesday is the fact that he's got a decent number. He's 18-1. He's never won here, though. Just one top 5. Keeping in mind, he won the Am Better Health 400 in Atlanta, the most recent Atlanta race. So he can race on these types of tracks. Doesn't have a good average, though, in the next gen here, even though he has that one top 5. So the only thing going for him are the odds. And then Wallace. Wallace has a win in Talladega. He's not the worst idea in the world for a long shot. Bowman, because he's going to be driving with his teammates. That's definitely going to come in handy for Bowman. But overall, this has not been anything special for Bowman. He's been okay. A few top 10s, one top 5, a 13.0 average in the next gen over 6 races, 7th earlier this year. So again, he's been okay. He could be dangerous. The good thing about Bowman is you're getting a good number. Byron is somebody that actually ended up as my top pick. And I went with Byron. He definitely qualifies for never winning in next gen or in the top 10. He's never won at Talladega, but he does have 5 top 5s, including 3rd this year and 3rd in this race last year. We know he can win at Daytona, and we know he can race in this type of setting. He's got a 4.4 average in the last 5 at Talladega, and I think he's sitting fine. Okay, so there's Byron, and then you also have Buescher. As far as Buescher and Keselowski go, Keselowski is definitely the way to go. He is one of my picks, and I just think that he'd like to get off the schneid before next year. So I know that if he's in for the running, then you got to watch out. He's got 3 top 5s, 2 runner-ups, but also a couple of wrecks over his last 5. So it's been hit or miss for Keselowski here at Talladega, and that included a crash on lap 42 earlier this year. But he was runner-up to Elliott in Atlanta this year, so we know he can still do it on super speedways. And, of course, he has 6 career wins. No longer are you getting 12-1 on Keselowski. He was 18-1 before the week began. I know other books he's probably a little bit lower, considering he is starting, where is he? 20th? Then that's good. Then you don't have to worry about that number going down. Denny Hamlin is in that number there, that 17 average number. He's got a couple of wins at Talladega, a 15.8 average though in the next gen. And then after winning last week, it just doesn't make any sense, I think, to think that Hamlin will win back to back. But we know that he knows what he's doing on these racetracks. And then also Reddick's got a win at Talladega. That was just a couple of years ago, but he also has a 19.1 average with the win at Talladega, and that's not good. He was second to Byron in the Daytona 500, so there are some good things to like about Reddick. It's 20-1. I'm sure that number will stay where it is, but I think you have a lot better options. And then some of the others, I mentioned Kyle Busch. He won his first RCR race here in the spring of 2023, and he led only 3 laps that day. But in his last 4 since the win, 24.5 average. So just about everything else going wrong with Kyle Busch and RCR. Let's see. Who else do we have? Logano. Remember, Logano, we all know how good Logano is on super speedways. He's got 3 Talladega wins, but keep this in mind. He's got a 29.1 average in next gen without a top 15. He's going through a bad streak right now, even though he's led 103 combined laps in the last 4 races. That's 19 or more in all 4 of those last 4 races. But this year on super speedways, Atlanta, Daytona, and Talladega, he has a 29.8 average and no top 10s. So he's just been unlucky and not good for the most part, but unlucky mostly. He's going through a bad streak right now. And like Cindric, he's a low number for this type of race. So that's what you have to contend with. But he's no wins. Next gen, no wins. So he's one of those names that you could definitely go with if you would like to. Elliott, He's got the win, the Quaker State 400 at Atlanta this year, so that's good. 5th this year at Talladega, that's nice. 4 top 10s, 2 top 5s, and a win in next gen at Talladega, which is good. Elliott's odds are pretty much with the top drivers, and you see him sitting there at 25th. So he's a decent play, no question about it. Chase Elliott, his teammate Kyle Larson, we've talked about his weakness at these types of tracks, that he's getting a lot better lately. 2nd this year, 4th last year, but he doesn't lead laps here. He's still not a very good super speedway driver. He just very understands he's a great driver. And so you would figure sooner or later he'd figure things out, but he just hasn't figured out how to lead laps. He hasn't figured out, the thing that you really need to do at the end of these races. There's a feel to it. When you have to decide to block, which way to go. Do I go up? Do I go down? If I'm second behind a leader, which way? There's a lot of different, he just doesn't have that yet. And I think it's still going to be very fortunate if he's able to pick up this win. The thing I don't like about him are his odds. They should not be 12-1. You should be getting 18-1 or 20-1 with Larson. You've got no value here. But remember last week we were talking about his run as far as the playoffs, and they were really trending in the right direction. And we said, hey, look, he was second the week before at Vegas. I forget where they were. And so if he's got one choice basically to go first or that's it. That's where he ended his streak, and now he's going to go back the other way. But I did say, hey, if he finishes second, then maybe it buys him another week, and he finished second. So that's kind of the way I feel. I think he bought himself another week, but if he ends up like in an accident here, doesn't have a real good race, anything like that, I just think, I know it's a super speedway, I know luck is involved, but I just get the feeling Kyle Larson's in trouble. Okay. And then you have Chastain. Now, this is interesting. In 2022, when he had 2 really good races, including a win here in next gen, he had an average starting position of 12.5. But in the last 5, he's got an average finish of 26.6 and an average start of 29.2, and he'll start 24th, as you can see. So that's not a good sign. Suarez is someone that actually may not be a bad long shot idea. He's sitting there 26th. Another one that hasn't won next gen, so he would qualify. He's got 5 career top 10s at Talladega, 4 top 10s in the next gen, 9th this year. And in his, average starting position in his last 5, 26th. That's where he's starting. So this is typical for Suarez. So don't worry about that. And he was second to Blaney in the 400. So I do not think Daniel Suarez is a bad idea if you want to go his way for a long shot. By the way, Busher, I mentioned before, just 1 top 5 in his career at Talladega. And I really do not see anyone else that sticks out, as you can see here either, except my long shot. And that is Carson Hocevar. So Hocevar, you see here, he's starting 32nd. I'm not too bothered by that. He started 28th earlier this year when he finished 6th. It was his best finish. He also has 2 top 10s this year at Atlanta with a runner-up. Hey, obviously, if he's going to win this season, this would be, I think, his chance. So he's got a good number 2, 35 in. That ain't going to change. So, yeah, I kind of think Carson Hocevar is not a bad idea. Noah Gragson, somebody that also you want to keep an eye on. Very good on super speedways, Xfinity mostly, but still, he's shown it here. Last 3 races at Talladega, he has 2 top 5s. He was 4th this year, starting 27th. And as you can see here, he'll start 36th. Eric Jones is also someone you might want to think about because he has 4 top 10s and 1 top 5 in the next gen. And this year, not a very good result. And he started pretty similarly where he's starting here. He does have 2 fifth-place finishes this year on the super speedways. So again, Eric Jones is always somebody that could be dangerous in a race like this. And Austin Hill, I don't know what Austin Hill has. He's driving a Chevy. It would have been better if he was driving a Ford, actually. But he has 9 super speedway wins in the Xfinity Series. If this was an Xfinity Series race, and they might even be racing now, of all I know, I'm sure he went off as a favorite. But he hasn't shown it yet in Cup. Okay, so that's going to wrap it up let me know what's on your mind, questions, comments, anything at all regarding the drivers that you were thinking about taking, either in fantasy or, hey, you just want to make a few bucks this week. Next week, Martinsville, we are going to wrap it all up regarding the round of the playoffs. And we're going to do it at 3 o'clock. Okay, this is going to be 3 o'clock start time. No, it should be 3:30 start time, because normally we start at 4 o'clock. But we're starting at 3:30. That's going to be for the next 2 weeks. Okay, Martinsville, Xfinity 500, 3:30 start times, and then it includes, of course, the championship, which is going to be on November 2nd. I don't know why I always felt like it was like the second week in November. So it's, I don't know, I'm wrong. It's just very early in my mind, November 2nd, because it's only 2 days from October. And I always just looked at this as a November kind of deal, which it still is. But that's it. When we talk on Tuesday, we are going to be talking about 2 more to go, 1 more cutoff at Martinsville. And again, we're going to do that at 3:30 Eastern. So join us live if you have time, and you'll be able to communicate with me and CJ during the show. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you again next week. Do we have a time on that next week? Actually, we do. It's going to be a late one. It's going to be sometime like around 7 ish Eastern time next Saturday, where I'll be here to let you know what's going on after practice and qualifying at Martinsville. Thanks a lot. Subscribe, like, share, do all that kind of cool stuff that helps us out supporting the channel. And we'll see you right here on Proline TV.